Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum, Vanakkam. I'm here visiting this beautiful land of the Musqueam people. I'm visiting from the land of the Stolo people in the Fraser Valley, from the land of the people of the river who speak Halkamalam. I want to acknowledge that I am an immigrant settler to this land and that I am just starting to learn my own position, which I had never really spent time thinking about when I first arrived in 1975. Burnaby is very special to me because this is where I came when I landed on a Japan Airlines flight from Delhi to Tokyo and Tokyo to Vancouver. So you know how the universe conspires. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. A special thanks to His Worship Mayor Mike Hurley for coming out, and of course to Pietro and to Richard Lee for also taking time out this afternoon to come and spend time with us. There are some good friends, obviously in the audience, but thank you, Deputy Consul General, for taking the time to come out. I hear that she likes blueberries. I'm a blueberry farmer, so I invited her to come visit the farm. This is a very beautiful moment for us, for Sui and I, and perhaps Sui, you just want to come up and we both can talk at around the same time. This is my friend, sister, colleague, co-conspirator, ally, name it, everything. We worked together on building the Haq and History exhibit. My good friend Tariq Malik, who is a poet, just explained to me that we should really talk about the first words of the exhibit, which are Haq and History. Should have spelled it with a U. Haq really means rights. And we wanted to spend the time looking at both our rights and our history together. So that's the meaning of the word. And I'll just give you a short history. I work at UFE, at the Fraser Valley University, along with two of my colleagues, Annette, who is holding the camera, who helped us get the exhibit off the ground, and Thami, my colleague who's standing there, who now lives in New Westminster, but in Queensborough, who helped us get all the archival material for the exhibit. We traveled for about 2 years across the province in 2017 to 18. We spent time in 7 regions, and we spent time to understand our history, to really record it in a way that was more inclusive of a BC history, not just a Vancouver-centric history. And the travels were very, very useful and very friendly and very warm, and people were amazed that somebody was writing our own history. We now have been here 123 years, and I want to say it is only now that we have the luxury to write our own history. It has taken us this long, and we are about 50 years behind. Some of our ancestors have passed away, and we are hearing stories. Second and third generations are telling the stories, and that's okay. Oral history is very important. And I think the next phase of our work, as we record our history, is to not record it in a silo, in a box. Nothing happens in a box. As you've mentioned so beautifully in the morning, that when we opened a museum in Abbotsford, Stephen Point, who is your uncle, came to open the exhibit. He was a lieutenant governor at the time of BC. And he said something very profound. He said, when you arrived in the valley, no one may have welcomed you from the Stolo people, but today, I welcome you to this land. And there were so many people crying in the audience, because that emotional quotient of living as brothers and sisters, as friends, as compatriots, as countrymen, as countrywomen with each other, that's the next phase of our history. Haq and History is a small example of our histories intertwining and intersecting with each other. And now my goal is that our history should never be written alone. We should write our histories together. Because when we were being discriminated against, so were the Japanese, so were the Chinese, so were the Ukrainians, so were the Doukhobors, so were the First Nations peoples. But we write them as if it only happened to them at that time. And we haven't melded those histories together so that our students in the classroom and our families can understand that we were all fighting for the same things. And the humanity of our experiences is more important than the individual story. So I think the next history books need to be written about our experiences. They need to be written in a way that includes our histories in a both challenging and positive way. When I started writing the history of South Asians in BC, I made a big mistake. I started writing it as if we had just arrived in 1903. There was a Canada before that. There was a nation of people living before that. We have to start before we arrive. We have to say, where are we coming? What's happening in this land? What was happening at that moment? So we have to revise our histories to be inclusive of the indigenous histories before we arrived. And of course, the colonial histories of when they arrived. There is a challenge to historians, for all of us, to write the history in a way that's inclusive of everyone, so that we don't feel so alone. So we don't feel that our histories are alone. When you read the stories of Paldi, where Chinese, Japanese, First Nations, White European settlers and South Asians lived together, played together, went to school together, had events together, ate food with each other, those are the stories we need to tell. When the internship happened, the Mayo family is not here today, and Michael knows the Mayo family from Paldi. Mr. Mayo went to the PNE where the families were being interned and held and asked the RCMP to give his men and women back to him. He said, give me my families, I will take care of them, I will keep them in Paldi, you will never have any complaint from us. And he said, I will pay them, I will look after their food, I will do everything. And the RCMP refused. We don't know these stories. We have to gather those so that we can feel each other's humanity. So I want to really thank the Nikkei, Sherry, thank you for bringing this exhibit here. It was really important, and for adding the research of the Japanese communities in Paldi and beyond, and of course Tiffany for doing the research. But of course, I want to thank Sui, who worked at the Royal BC Museum at the time, who helped us design the exhibit. You must really look at the design and how we presented it to you. And Irving, I don't know where you are in the audience. Irving? Oh, there. So Irving is the designer. So he made all the beautiful images and put them together and created the visual for it. Thank you, Irving, for putting it together. This exhibit is traveling across BC over the next 5 years. It's been to Golden, BC, it's been to Port Moody, it's been to the island, Vancouver Island. It's going on from Nikkei, it's going to Chilliwack, then it's going on to Sydney, BC, and on the island again. And we hope that through these stories that we will find a common history, as some of the speakers before me have already said. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Stay up here.